Today we're talking about why the INFJ can get stuff done in time. And you might be thinking it's just you, but it's not. Trust me, I've worked with so many INFJs throughout the years in my bootcamp one-on-one, and I hear this over and over again. People thinking they should be able to do certain goals or certain tasks in a particular amount of time, and the truth is they never get them done. INFJs tell me this all the time, and what happens? The INFJ gets frustrated. We feel overwhelmed, and therefore we don't even start with it at all. So this is a common struggle for INFJs, and I'm here to tell you this can definitely change. This is definitely a question of approach, and we're going to talk about why this is happening, why this has everything to do with our cognitive functions, and how we can use this to our advantage. Before we get started, I want to remind you that the INFJ Epic Life audio course has launched, and if you join until Saturday, then you can be part of the 1 hour life workshop. It's going to be only for the people who have purchased the audio course. Everybody after that can, of course, get access to the replay, who's part of the program. But if you purchase before that time, then you can be part of the live workshop. You can ask your questions and interact with me. All the information you find in the links in the description. So when we talk about stuff not getting done, this can start from a very small task, as in I need to go grocery shopping, and it can go all the way to something that has to do with your purpose, your vocation. For example, you writing a book. All of those goals, all of those concepts lead to the INFJ being completely overwhelmed, because let's say it's about the book. You say, okay, in my mind, I know the concept of my book. I know what it's about. I know what my message is. And now I need to write it. So I set out to do it this week, and I sit down for 5 minutes. I don't know what to do, and then I just let it go. Even something as simple as going shopping, like grocery shopping, can lead to that problem, because you could say, okay, well, writing my book, it's more about I don't know what to write. But that's definitely not all of it, because something like, grocery shopping could be rather easy. You have in your mind, oh, I have these 5 things. I actually wrote them down. Okay, let's not call them 5 things, let's say 15 things. You go to the grocery store, and before you know it, it takes you 4 times longer than you actually expected. And this applies to all aspects of the INFJ's life. So how does the INFJ feel in that moment? Well, most of the time, it really bothers us. It really is something that affects our self-esteem, because it seems like there's something wrong with me. I cannot get stuff done in time. I am maybe lazy. Maybe I'm that slow. I'm just cerebral. There's the way of just telling yourself, well, I'm an INFJ. I'm all about, the inner workings of my mind, and I'm just not good with these things. And there's some kind of acceptance to it, which of course could be okay if it didn't bother you. But most INFJs are still bothered by it. The other thing is that, you take on so much, and you continuously try to prove to yourself that this is a lie, that of course you're not lazy. Of course you're capable. Of course you can be productive and get stuff done in time, and you still don't do it. So you set out to do certain things, you put on way too much on your plate, and nothing really happens. And this again proves to yourself that you were right all along. That deep down, that voice that told you you're slower than others, you're, less capable, there's a reason why, you're an outcast, whatever it may be, all of those uncomfortable feelings pop up. So what is the solution here? And what is the reason that we're actually always in this cycle that is so unhealthy? Well, it has absolutely everything to do with our cognitive functions. Because if you think about it, what is our main and dominant function? It's introverted intuition. And guess what? Introverted intuition is all about concepts. And it's all about creating an emotion in combination, of course, with our second function. But think about it. You have a concept of, oh, I could write that book. Oh, I'm going to go to the grocery store. What happens? Some kind of happiness happens in your mind. Don't ask me what kind of chemicals are being, created. I don't know. But the point is, you get a satisfaction just by, thinking of the concept. Just by thinking of, oh, I could do this. And this is actually easier for an INFJ than for most other types, because we're so focused to the future. We're so focused on, as I said, concepts, on creating a vision, and we can connect emotions to that really easily. That is the reason why we can also stick with something for so long, because we have an emotion. Not always a good thing, because sometimes you stick, for example, towards a vision with another person that has no business of being in your life. But that is the reason why we stick to things so much, because we have such a strong emotional attachment to them. So now let's look at real life. What happens when you start writing that book? What happens when you do go to the grocery store? You recognize that reality is actually far, far away from your vision, and that you will never ever get the satisfaction that you're looking for when you do the real thing as much as you will get it if you create the concept for it. Right? This is something, by the way, that you can just remember for all other things, not even about like getting stuff done in time, that don't expect once you actually do it that it's going to feel that great. Maybe in the beginning, because you still have the hope that it's going to feel as exciting as like coming up with the concept, but you recognize reality is a different story. Reality is all about practical steps. It's all about taking the intensity out of it. It's all about taking the excitement about it, right? There is something that is very sobering about doing things in the real world. That shouldn't really bother you, because once you understand the concept, and this is also part of creating your INFJ epic life, that this sobering aspect doesn't have to be something that takes the joy out of your life. If you just accept that it's just part of life, it's something that we have to do on the side, and that in itself will allow us to continuously come up with new concepts, because we have such a better understanding of what actually works in reality, and therefore we take certain paths and can create new concepts based on that. So let's think about it. If you have this thought in your mind, okay, I'm going to go grocery shopping, or I have this task for work, I think I should be able to do it in half an hour. Every single time you actually set out to do it, it's going to take longer than 30 minutes. Every single time. And so ask yourself, why are you scheduling things to get done in 30 minutes? You do that because if you come up with the concept and that emotion that is attached to it, it is all based on a very simple, very logical thing that can be created rather fast. But again, reality is a different story. So what is the solution here? Well, the INFJ has to accept that you always have to probably put in twice as much time or 4 times as much time into your schedule in order to get a task done than what you imagine it to be. And this is something you can use as a thumb of rule, because to this day, it is never that I can come up with an idea, think I need 20 minutes for it, and I actually only need 20 minutes for it. Never. So me, who has done this so often, who has practiced this, who's, understanding the dynamics around it, and who's working, around this concept, this is my job, this is my livelihood, this is all that I breathe, I still do this. But what I don't do is that I actually think, oh, it's going to take me 20 minutes and I schedule in 20 minutes. I always do something else. I think it's going to take 20 minutes and I schedule in an hour every single time. And that goes for absolutely everything. If it's about grocery shopping, if it's about completing a task for my business, if it's something like, writing your book and you say, okay, I need to write that many chapters a week, and so on. And this is a concept that INFJ needs to embrace, because it's going to save your life. I've seen this over and over again. As I said, we've worked through this. This is not something that I only see with myself. I've, worked with so many INFJs through bootcamp and through 101, and these concepts really make the biggest difference. So every single time when you have a goal, you have to multiply the times that you think it's going to take. And you have to do that because your mind will always give you a wrong impression. And even if you rationally know it should be different, the emotion will tell you otherwise. Again, this is based on the fact that we get such a quick satisfaction from just thinking about something. Other types actually need to put in the work. They need to see the progress. They need to make, some kind of steps happen in the real world. That's maybe why they're able to see how long it's going to take them. Because one thing is for sure, and this doesn't apply just to INFJs, this is for every type, but in our case, it's important to understand this. Whatever you're proving to yourself, your mind will believe. In this case, this means if you continuously tell yourself, I should be able to get this task done in 20 minutes, and it takes you 40 minutes to do it. Actually, after 40 minutes, you're still not done, and you're getting nervous, and you're getting frustrated, and you get overwhelmed, and you break it off. What are you proving to yourself? You're proving to yourself that, you can't rely on yourself, that you have goals, but you're not going towards them. You're just not being proactive about it. This typical thing of, I want to go on a diet, or I want to get fit, and it's just, an idea, nothing more. And you are proving to yourself that, yes, you are overwhelmed. And guess what? These actions build your beliefs. These beliefs build your identity. So it is a vicious cycle that continuously tells you that you are not good enough to get certain things done. And this is something that goes so deeply into your subconscious that you can't just rationalize it. So what do we do with that information? Well, first off, let's not panic, because if you can get your subconscious to such a place where you really believe, everything I set out to do, I'm not doing. I only do it halfway. I'm not doing it perfectly. I'm totally slow. You can also prove to yourself that this is not the case. And how do you do that? Well, you start with actions. I always say, we as INFJs, we have to take action. We are already in a place where we think about things very deeply. We contemplate, we meditate, we go into our subconscious. And yes, you might be able to work some things out, but nothing will give you as much information that you can process as taking action. Because when you take action in the real world, the feedback that you get from the world, as in how long something takes, how people are going to react, what are, the benefits of certain actions, and what are the disadvantages. Those things you will only know through the action part. There's no way you can come up with these things in your mind, because we're always going to fall short of what it will actually be. So that's why I see when INFJs get older, they're more aware of this. We do take more actions because we know, okay, I'm not going to be as naive to think that I can just think of something and it will be true. The younger I was, and I see this with INFJs all around the world and with everybody that I work with, this is a common thing, that we're actually more aware of, the things we don't know the older we get. The younger we are, the more we think, my intuition is spot on. I know that person had a connection with me. I know this is going to work out. The more you actually, take actions, the more you realize, of course there were some flaws in my thinking process because I only had information A, B, and C. Of course, the conclusion that I made is possible. It definitely works, but I didn't have information D, E, and F. Now, when I take action and I have these informations as well, I already know my first conclusion was wrong. You couldn't have known that if you didn't have the second part of the equation, right? So, what do? How do we put this into action? I want you to think about some goals you want to achieve. And we all have that. INFJs are future-oriented. So let's stop this whole thing about the INFJ just wants to be contemplative and they just want to sit around and think about the world. Yeah, we all want that. This is amazing. And it's not said that you can't do these things if you go for certain aspects in your life. Like, you don't have to achieve, milestones every 5 minutes. But there are aspects in our life that will help us to get closer to our vision. And these things have to be scheduled in. I always say, if you can't put it in your schedule, if it's not an externally observable fact, it is really something that only happens in your mind. And as long as it only happens in your mind, you're not making progress on it. So put it in your schedule. What does that mean? Is it writing on your book? Is it writing 5 applications for a new job? Is it going to the grocery store and buying the things you need? Write those things down. And when you do write them in your calendar, always schedule in 3 or 4 times longer than you need. Maybe it won't take as long, but start off with that. You have to be willing to always plan in more time than you actually think you need. And don't ever think that with time you will get a better feeling about this. The feeling will come from, oh, I know, it feels like a 20-minute job, and therefore I'm going to block off 1 hour. That is what you get from experience. It will still feel like a 20-minute job. So when you do this, what is going to happen? Well, you might at first say, well, then I barely get anything done. Like if I plan it like that, it's like 2 or 3 tasks a day or a week or whatever it may be. Okay, but let's really look at what you have done in the past. It's not about how much you put on your schedule. It's not about how many tasks you took on, how many days you wanted to go to the gym. The question is, how many days did you go to the gym? How many tasks did you actually finish? And when you look at that, you actually see, oh, I will make progress. I will be able to finish more than I did last week. And it might be sobering and it might be a little bit depressing that you see, okay, so that is what I can take on. Like that's really what it is. But first comes acceptance. Then you heal it. You actually get used to the fact that that's the time you need. And another thing happens, which is so powerful, and that is that you see the promises I make to myself, I actually keep them. I say I was going to do that, and I did it. And what does that lead to? Well, a new belief system, a new identity. You now actually teach your subconscious that you're somebody who gets stuff done. And then you actually get to a place where you're not saying, I don't get stuff done in time. You say, of course I get stuff done in time. I planned it for an hour, and I got it done in an hour. You're not thinking about the fact that your feeling tells you 20 minutes. You planned it in for 1 hour and you got it done for an hour. As I always like to say, we as INFJs, we don't have to do all the things. We have to do the right things. We already have the ideas. We know the things that will bring our life forward. That is our advantage. So we don't need to be super fast. We just need to get those things done. So put it in your schedule, give yourself the time, allow yourself to build a new identity around it, and everything will change. Remember, if you want to take it to the next step and really kickstart your INFJ Epic Life journey, then join the INFJ Epic Life audio guide. Best is to join it before Saturday so you get access to the 1-hour life workshop. Everything you need to know you find in the link in the description. And if you want to watch another video now that is in alignment with today's topic, then watch the video, Why the INFJ is Slower Than Average and Why That's a Good Thing.